Hello everyone, I am Spuran Reddy and I am the Economics Faculty Instructor here at Vishnu IAS. Today we are going to see the strategy, what to do and what not to do, and what are the sources for economy as a module in Civil Services examination. To start with, most of the aspirants find economy as one of those subjects which is a bit trickier, which is a bit difficult when compared to other subjects. In this video, we are going to decipher whether that particular notion of the students is it true or not. Because when it comes to the weightage of the examination, weightage of economy module in the examination, you can look at these things. If you look at the last 5 years, 5 to 6 years, the pattern has been there are anywhere in between 15 to 20 questions in economy. 15 to 20 questions, they are like around 15% of weightage, 12 to 15% of the weightage of the total prelims examination, which makes economy one of the important modules if you want to clear prelims. But as I said earlier, the problem is that most of the students find economy a bit confusing, and because it is confusing, they find it to be difficult. But is it really the case? Economy becomes trickier, economy becomes confusing because of certain myths that are associated. Because of certain myths that are associated with economy as a subject. What are the myths? First and foremost, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. But is that the case? See, anything is difficult. Difficulty is something which we don't know about. Difficulty arises when you don't know about something. So, per se, economy is not difficult. Rather, you can say that economy is more logical in nature. What you practice in CSAT, economy is introducing you to that same logic right away in your paper 1 itself. Of all the modules, I'll say that economy is the most logical subject. And most of the times we are not logical. That's what human beings are. That's the reason we find economy to be difficult. And another myth is economy is very tricky. Economy is very tricky. Tricky as in that, there is a polarized opinion about economy. That either it is too easy, just ask your friends. They'll say that either it is too easy, where you can score 15 out of 15 questions, or it is too hard, where you can't even make a sense of the subject, sense of the question paper. But the problem, but the fact of the matter is somewhere in between. Okay, the fact is somewhere in between, meaning it is easy, yes. And is it difficult? Yes, of course. Every subject has its own difficulty levels. So, economy is tricky, again, is not really anything which is logical is always tricky, remember that. Anything which is logical is always tricky, because if you even miss one leg, one point of the logic, then everything falls apart. Then, what are the other myths that are associated with economy? That there are multiple sources. There are too many sources. Multiple sources that one has to refer to read economy. Again, it's a half-truth. Regarding sources, yes, there will be always more than one source, because that's the nature of the examination. But do you really have to go through multiple sources? Of course not. It's not about the number of sources, it's about the smart way of picking up the points and topics. So, any myth, I've just listed down 2 or 3 myths, but there can be other myths that are associated with economy. Keep them aside. Start with an empty mind, a blank state of mind, if you are going to read economy, because you can't ignore. And this is only about prelims. What about mains? You have an entire paper of economic development. That's your paper 3. Where you are having anywhere in between 10 to 12 questions. Around 8 to 12, you can say. 8 to 12 questions are coming from economy. So there is no way you can clear this examination. You may clear prelims if you are ignoring economy, because that's another myth. We can clear the examination just by leaving economy module. First let's clear prelims, then we will see it at mains. Mains answers are easy. Again, it's a myth. It becomes very difficult for you to clear the examination if you're not getting hold of the subject. So, with respect to weightage and with respect to the importance of the subject in both prelims and mains, and of course personality test, let's not talk about it as of now, because you will have to learn about economy even there. So with respect to the importance and with respect to the weightage, economy is something which is unavoidable for this preparation. So you can just say yourself goodbye to the examination if you are planning not to go through economy. So do not listen to these myths, these hearsays. Rather focus on economy, focus on certain basics. We'll see that in a while. What needs to be focused upon and what needs to be left aside. So having seen the importance of economy in the examination, let's find out the type of the questions, because always remember, irrespective of the module that you are learning, the best way to find out, the best way to learn a module is to go through the questions. So what are the type of questions that are asked in economy? Most basic type of questions in economy are keywords based. What do you mean by keyword based? There will be one technical term. Always, which must have been in the news in the past one and a half year. So UPSC will be asking, like the term repo rate. The term repo rate, often heard in news, signifies. The term repo rate, often heard in news, signifies. They'll give you 4 options. So it is a keyword based. Then second one, concept based. These two, most of the questions that appears in prelims are generally from these 4 types. So second one, concept based. Every subject is made up of concepts, particularly these bigger modules of civil services, of which economy is one. They are based upon different concepts. Concepts are like the building blocks. They are like the bricks of a building for a module. So you need to learn about the core concepts of economy. You need to learn about them. Conceptual based questions directly. They'll just directly ask you, what is stagflation? Stagflation refers to. Galloping inflation refers to. Recession refers to. Those are conceptual questions, concept based questions. There are no shortcuts when it comes to concept based questions, because that is the subject. Third is interlinking of concepts. Which makes the third type little bit tricky. The trickier part that you have been thinking of in economy starts from this level, this stage onwards. Why? Because there will be 1 or 2 concepts that will be interlinked in one question and they will ask it. What do I mean by that? For example, the question can be something like, what is the relationship between inflation rate and interest rates? What is the relationship between inflation rate and interest rates? We should first know what interest rates are. What is the policy rate that RBI uses when it comes to inflation rate in India, and how when it comes to interest rates in India, and how interest rates are influencing inflation. 2 concepts merged in one single question, and you are being asked the relationship between them. Then, fourth one, the most important one, cause-effect relationships or consequences-based questions. What do we mean by cause-effect relationships? Right now, it's a time of COVID, right? So world over, countries are going for quantitative easing. Don't worry about the word. You'll learn about it in our classes. Countries around the world are going for quantitative easing. Easy money. Quantitative easing is nothing but easy money, cheap money, where interest rates are near zero. What will be the impacts of quantitative easing as a policy of monetary policy? When monetary policy is practicing quantitative easing, what will be the impact? What will be the consequences? That has been asked. So, consequence-based questions or cause-effect-based questions. You know, most of you are doing your bachelor's, are done with your bachelor's. Cause-effect, causal relationship between the process and the impact. For example, what causes inflation? What are the supply-side factors? What are the supply-side factors of inflation? What causes inflation? Demand-side factors. Those are the fourth type of questions that are asked. Then fifth comes current affairs. You all know this examination is nothing without current affairs. If we are not having a good grip of the last 1 to 1.5 years events, current affairs, news-related events, then it becomes a bit difficult. I wouldn't say it's impossible, but it becomes difficult. So there will be one or two current affairs based questions. Again, there is a slight difference here when it comes to economy and the current affairs based questions. What do we mean by that? The difference is that when it comes to economy, the current affairs are not regarding the numbers, neither the numbers nor the factual events will be asked when it comes to current affairs. Of course, UPSC uses the same principle, same formula for current affairs events for other modules as well. So, there will be a current affairs based question. Most of the times, there will be something in current affairs. And UPSC will ask the concept behind that particular event. So, most of the times, the current affairs and conceptual based questions are interlinked. Current affairs and conceptual based questions are interlinked. And finally, schemes related questions. Then it's no exaggeration to say that there won't be a question paper without a couple of schemes based questions. So there will be a couple of scheme based questions, always remember that. The point in trying to find out the type of questions first is when you are going through the newspaper, when you are learning the concepts, if you have an idea of the type of the questions that are being framed, it becomes easy to just divide the topic into multiple parts. To have that mental image, to have that mind map, it's always better to first look at the questions, then start the topic. Look at the questions, then start the module. Whichever the module you are looking at. So these are the type of the questions. So these are the type of the questions that are appearing in civils, particularly, and we are talking about prelims. Now let's see some sample questions as well. These questions have appeared in 2021 prelims. So look at the first question. The money multiplier in an economy. The money multiplier in an economy increases with which one of the following? In fact, the same question was asked in 2019 as well. Where will we keep this type of question? This is a keyword. It is both a keyword and it is more of a concept-based question. It is more of a concept-based question. Then second, look here. With reference to Indian economy, demand pull inflation can be caused or increased by cause-based questions, cause-effect relation questions. That's the second one. And third one is current affairs. This was In news, this is a question regarding investors, retail investors. What are retail investors? What do they do? What are other type of investors? That's all comes under financial market, the topic financial markets. So this was more or less a current affairs based question. Because during COVID, the stock markets have ran like anything. So that's the reason. Keyword based questions, conceptual questions, and current affairs based questions. So in this way, UPSC, in fact, this particular question, it was straightly from NCERT textbooks. It was straight away from NCERT textbooks. So these are the type of the questions that UPSC frames when it comes to economy module. So having seen the type of the question that are being asked, where are they being asked from? Which brings us to the next question about what should be the strategy and what should be the sources for economy. What should be the strategy and what should be the sources for the economy. Number one, always this examination is nothing. This examination is nothing without you going through the syllabus and checking out the previous year questions. Always, always. It's a thumb rule. You should by heart the syllabus. So is the case when it comes to economy. So start with syllabus and the previous year questions that have appeared from economy module. Number one. Number two, yes, start with NCERTs. NCERTs are the best sources for every subject in this examination, and so is the case with here in economy. Yes, some of you might have already gone through these two textbooks, and to be fair enough, NCERTs, particularly for economy, are not as good as NCERTs for other subjects. Remember that. NCERTs for economy, both these two books, they are not as good as the rest of the subjects. So we'll find a way out. We'll find a solution for this particular problem. But all said and done, NCERTs are the best starting points for economy. Then of course newspapers. Why? Because newspapers, there are certain advantages when you read newspapers. I know some of you are planning to just completely skip newspapers. We'll see whether it's going to be the right strategy or not. But newspapers, there are a couple of advantages with newspapers. Number one, they make you comfortable. They make you familiar with the terminology. See, one problem why economy becomes trickier is the terminology, the terms that the economy, the subject introduces you, most of you must not have had the exposure to those terms ever. Meaning, other words like, CJI, judge, parliament, MP, MLA, sun, heat, these are the words which we use in day-to-day life. But when it comes to economy, we do not use these words. Who uses, come on, who uses repo rate, who uses RBI, who uses interest rates, who uses the word inflation? We don't use them in our daily life. That's the reason the subject becomes trickier and the concepts become difficult. The workaround, the solution for that is being exposed to those words, to those terminologies on a day-to-day basis. And how can you do that? Newspaper reading is the best way. That's the first advantage. It makes you familiar with the concepts. It makes you familiar particularly with the terms that are associated, the keywords, the terminology of the subject. And secondly, see, everything is current affairs related. Every question is current affairs related. How will you know what is happening with respect to one small module of the subject if not for newspapers? Yes, I know all of you have different current affairs magazines that you must have subscribed to that are being provided for you, that are being flooded in the market. The problem is when it comes to economic current affairs, if you are not following, if you are not able to understand the root issue of the current affairs event, then it becomes difficult to just grab the content from your current affairs magazines. So relying on current affairs magazines is a strict no when it comes to economy. because there is also the problem of information overload. All these magazines that you are following or that you are subscribing to, they just dump information on your face. There is information overload. And economy, it's not about information, it's about the concept, it's about the interlinking. It's about the chain of links that are established. So that is about newspaper. It has a two-folded advantage. Number one, it makes you familiarize with the topics and also the terms. And secondly, it introduces you to the current affairs events, which when sourced from the current affairs magazines of different websites or different institutes, the problem is that there will be information overload and you'll just push away the subject. So newspaper reading is a strict yes. Then the most important one, how can you simplify the subject? How can you simplify the concepts? How can you break down the concepts? That's where I come. That's where we as an institute, Vishnu IAS, comes. Class notes is more than enough. In fact, you can watch the 2021 prelims video to see what all things have been discussed, prelims discussion video on our YouTube channel, to find out what all concepts have been discussed of the 415 questions. Find out. The link is available online. So class notes and classes are a very important things that your life is going to be made easier. Remember that. That's why I am here. I am here to make your life easier when it comes to economy. Next, yes, budget and economic survey. Budget, economic survey, and to this add India yearbook. And to this add India yearbook. All three together, yes, there are some questions. There are around 4 to 5 questions that are being asked. And finally, schemes and reports. We will see how to read them, whether to read them or not. But yes, there are questions which are being asked. Of course, schemes is a regular occurrence, and reports, yes, there are some questions based on reports. So this is the strategy. Start with the syllabus. Start with the syllabus, buy a previous year questions book, newspapers, classes, class notes, class discussions, and NCERTs. NCERTs are irreplaceable. And by the way, for which we are having a new program exclusively launched for NCERTs, which is going to start this month. You can check out the details about it. So if that is the strategy, what are the do's? What are the do's for this examination? As I have said, syllabus copy. The first step of the preparation of this examination is buying a syllabus copy. Number one. Number two, placing the topic in the syllabus. This is one of the most important thing. You should first by heart the syllabus. Then when you are reading a newspaper article, you should be able to place that topic in your syllabus. That's how you can establish the interconnection. You can establish the link between different topics. Remember that. Link between the different topics. Then, understanding the terms. Yes, understanding the terms. Which I say that read newspaper and read 2 new terms every day. That's more than enough for economy. Just 2 new terms for economy. Remember that. Then, classes, class discussions, newspaper reading, notes making. Yes, that's another important thing that you have to do in this examination. Notes making. You should have your own handwritten notes of every topic by the time you are taking the examination. The last 1 month, the last at least 20 days, you should be only referring to your handmade notes, not any textbook, not any printed notes. So notes making is one important step that you can't miss. Then revision. See, for this particular examination, you should be like jack of all, master of none. Meaning, you should be reading horizontally, means read as many, cover as many topics, as much ground as possible. Do not prepare vertically, meaning do not do PhD in a particular topic. So when you are covering as many topics as possible, how are you going to reduce? How are you going to save the time? Reduce the time that's required to finish the topics. Revision. Without revising, without going through the topics again and again, you cannot recollect, and reading them for the first or second time and not revising them is a waste of exercise. Remember that. You have to revise. The 3 R's for the success of this examination, and particularly economy module. Mind you, most of you are not having an exposure to economy, so please do remember that. So, revision and, as I said, solving the previous year questions. Solving the previous year questions. That's one of the ways that we can decrease the surprise element when it comes to the questions of this examination. So, having seen the do's, let's also see the don'ts. See, first and foremost, remove that phobia. Remove that feeling of fear about economy. Economy is as easy as any other module when it comes to civils. Approach it with an open mind, number one. So, do not fear. Another problem is when you are reading economy, when you are listening to a topic, the problem is that you think, array, with this particular topic, this won't be asked at this level. Why is he dealing with, why is he going so deep? When you are having those kind of opinions about topics, it becomes very difficult to focus upon what is being taught. So, trust the teacher. Do not doubt your teacher. It can be anyone. You can choose me or somebody else. But confine your discussions, confine your points within whatever your mentor is going to teach you. Then, ask doubts. Most of the times, that's how we learn more new things. Ask more and more number of doubts. Ask as many doubts as possible. Do not just sit by yourself. Then, yes, particularly when it comes to this examination, slow and steady wins the race. Do not rush. Do not just skip through the topics, skim through the topics, thinking that a particular topic is very easy. It won't be asked in the examination. Anything and everything under the sky can be asked in this examination. Remember that. So don't rush. Things take their own time. Have patience. Read. While reading, particularly the economy-related articles, you need a lot of patience. So do not rush. Do not rush through your newspaper articles. Do not rush through your classes. I know most of you have this habit of watching the classes at 2.0x, 1.5x, 2.0x. It's good. It's good. If you are already familiar with the subject, if you are listening to the classes for the second or third times, that works. But if you are listening to for the first time, do not rush through the videos. There is a pace at which things are supposed to be done. That's how nature also does things. So, do not rush. Yes, the most important one. Do not make your study rooms the storehouses of these bookshops. Don't make them museums. Your study room should not be the museum. What is a museum? It has 1 or 2 pieces of all the things that are in history, that were in history. So don't do that. The bookshop guy should not, ask you to give me a book, I'll get it Xerox and I'll return it to you. So don't do that. Restrict yourself, confine yourself to just one source, anything, any source, it doesn't matter. One source is enough, and that As I said, revise, revise, revise. The 3 R's of success for this examination, all 3 R's are the same. Revise, revise, revise. So don't go for multiple sources. Don't make your rooms, your study places as museums. Then don't ignore, yes, of course, don't do that. Because economy is easy. If I am going to do it, it will be all the more easier, trust me. And I promise that. Economy is easy. It is easily scorable in the economy questions. Then, yeah, don't be lazy. Another important thing. All said and done, it's you who is going to sit in the examination. So don't be lazy. Put some effort. Put half of the effort. Make an attempt. I am going to be there to walk along with you. So, don't be lazy. Do not have multiple sources and spend more time on revising than learning a new topic. It's useless. It becomes a futile exercise if you are not able to recollect something. And finally, yes, do not ignore. My humble request, do not ignore economy. See, all said and done. Economy is also important. It is required for your day-to-day life. How else will you prepare? How else will you run your house tomorrow if you don't have the understanding of economy? So these are some of the don'ts when it comes to economy. Finally, remember that concepts, one single source, class notes and revision. These are the 4 ingredients when it comes to clearing economy, when it comes to simplification of economy. And as I said, the simplification of economy starts with NCERTs. Starts with NCERTs, for which we here at Vishnu IAS, we are starting an exclusive NCERT course. 100 hours of NCERT course for the core modules, for the big modules of UPSC preparation, and we are doing that only at 1500 rupees. So you can scan the code that's available, and the link is also provided in the videos. I hope this particular video about how to prepare, how to strategize for the economy module is going to help you. I look forward you in the NCERT. I'm going to look forward for you in the NCERT course that is going to be started on April 14th. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.